Greetings one and all, my name is Lancer, and hey, this is a different kind of video. I'm kind of going to experiment doing review types of videos, kind of taking inspiration from like Gigguk and stuff like that when it comes to reviewing anime. This is mainly kind of a spur of the moment kind of review though, because recently here in America we finally got the immense privilege to finally see My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission, the third movie in the My Hero Academia movie spin-offs or whatever. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded. There's just been a lot of things going on. Again, I don't like to make excuses or make boring videos, like pretty much saying that I'm back for a couple weeks and then I'm going to be gone for a while. But just know I'm going to be going at my own pace from now on and uploading whenever I really feel like it. But this is still a dream, and hopefully I can keep going with it. But either way, enough of that. More anime. Like I said, World Heroes Mission finally debuted in American theaters, and I got to be able to see it this past Friday. I went with a friend, and to my immense surprise, it was a packed theater. Like, not just packed in that there was just like more people than I was expecting, like every seat was filled, like even the front row was filled, which goes to show that there's some people that love this. It did also kind of make me feel sad because a few months ago I got to be able to see the third Heaven's Feel movie in the Fate series in the theaters, and there was a good amount of people, but it really, I would say there was only about maybe 10 or so people in that theater, including myself. One of these days Fate will get the love it deserves in here, like at least here in my town. Either way, I am a huge fan of My Hero Academia. I'd love to just splurge as much as possible about this show, about the show and just the movies and everything. A lot of people kind of quote unquote shit on My Hero Academia. You know, it's just a shonen show, it's for kids or whatever. I tried to have that mindset for a while, like trying to be like, oh, it's for kids, like it's kind of dumb or whatever. But this show always just kept drawing me back, and this movie did that in strides. And just heads up, this first part of the video will be a spoiler-free review of World Heroes Mission. It'll be pretty short because I mainly want to talk about the spoiler stuff. That'll be in the second half of this video. I'll put it down in the chapters below so you can follow along. But either way, let's get right into the review. So just to give a brief summary of this movie. It takes place in the 3-month time span that we get at the end of season 5, which also, by the way, if you want to go see this movie, you have to see like pretty much all of My Hero that's come out so far. The thing about these My Hero movies, they very much assume that you have seen the show. The My Hero movies very much aren't part of the main story. I know that gets like a lot of fans of it are just like, what's the point of seeing them then if they don't have any impact on the actual story? But I argue it's just like, it's cool to see them in theaters, and it's just Studio Bones does an amazing job with just animation, voice acting, everything at making you feel like you are getting your money's worth out of buying a ticket and going to see these movies. A little backstory for myself. I started watching My Hero Academia around, I'd say mid-2018, right around when, spoiler alert, when the United States of Smash happened in the All Might vs. All for One fight. That's right around when I started watching. And it was right around that time that the first movie started coming out in theaters, which was Two Heroes. I got to be able to see that in theaters, and I thought it was really great. Obviously, compared to the next two movies, the next two movies very much outshine Two Heroes, but there's parts of that movie that I very much still enjoy, and I overall enjoy that movie a lot. I unfortunately didn't get to see Heroes Rising in theaters because just for me, there was a lot of stuff going on in my life. I was very busy. I hadn't even watched any of season 4 by that point. Of course, it was going to, and I eventually got around to it. It's just I was very busy. There's a lot of stuff happening. And of course, it was right around that time when Heroes Rising hit theaters that COVID hit here in America. I kind of completely forgot about it until I finished season 4, and I was just like, oh, I want to watch more My Hero. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a movie. And then I had to wait like pretty much almost a year before it finally was released in Blu-ray, and I finally got to watch it, and oh man, Heroes Rising was absolutely an amazing movie. Of course, I'm not going to spoil that movie because we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the third movie. I definitely was cautious going into this third movie, just knowing how amazing Heroes Rising was. World Heroes Mission had quite the shoes to fill. But either way, enough of me nerding on about Heroes Rising. That was so last year. The first two movies very much are kind of, again, this will sound like I'm kind of talking bad about them, but I'm not. But they are very simple in their approach. The first two, it's very much just, all right, here's the plot, here's what Midoriya is going to be up to, here's the villains, and then pretty much fight for the rest of the movie. That's pretty much what Two Heroes and Heroes Rising was about. World Heroes Mission very much took a story-heavy approach to its execution, something which I was very appreciative of, because there was a lot of moments throughout this movie where it felt like I kind of forgot that I was watching a My Hero Academia movie. As the posters show, it very much focuses around the time of the Endeavor Agency arc, so it's Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki, the big three, as it were. The other characters of Class 1A and other characters that have been shown throughout the story are in this movie, but it very much does focus mainly on the characters of Midoriya and a new character, Rhodey. This movie very much deals with an evil organization known as Humorize, which is run by the quirk-hating, wanting to revolutionize the world by destroying it, Flecked Turn. Crap, I forgot to put this movie on my Mal. I'll do it at the end. Pretty much, the organization Humorize is pretty much dead set on getting rid of all quirks in the name of getting a pure world. And of course that escalates when we come to our main heroes that are in the city of Otheon, trying to track down this evil organization after a failed attempt at a raid on their main facility, or so they thought was their main facility. Through many shenanigans, some funny comedy, Midoriya runs into Rhodey, some more stuff happens, and that's pretty much as far as I can go with in terms of the spoiler-free stuff. All that pretty much was like the first 20 minutes of the movie, and this is like an hour 50-minute movie. So since we're pretty much done with the spoiler-free, I'd say let's get right into the juicy bits and talk about some big mama spoilers. So pretty much after Midoriya runs into Rhodey, and some scuffles and some confusion happens over a briefcase, Midoriya saves Rhodey from getting shot by some corrupted cops, but as such the police twist the story into that Midoriya is framed for murder. That's right, Midoriya gets framed for murder. That right off the bat told me that it's like, this movie's gonna be something special. And it continued that. It very much was a on-the-run type of story, with Midoriya and Rhodey just trying to flee and trying to find a way to clear their name, kind of like a Mission Impossible kind of thing. And it is a very kind of heartwarming story at the end of the day, this relationship that kind of grows between Midoriya and Rhodey. And there's some really good songs that are played throughout, like when they're just traversing the terrain and everything. And it's in that time when Rhodey and Midoriya are on the run that is when I forget that this was a My Hero movie. It's like, oh yeah. But then very much quickly becomes that again when Rhodey tries to betray Midoriya and give away the briefcase to Humorize. And they get into a fight again with a villain known as Barros, who isn't actually named in the movie. I only know the name of because when I went to see it in theaters, they handed out these little booklets, or little mini mangas, pretty much. It's kind of like a Deku diary like he has in the show, but it's kind of cool. It gives you cool insights into the villains and stuff. He's pretty much like this Robin Hood type character. Well, she just has a Robin Hood power. She pretty much is just trying to kill Midoriya and Rhodey the whole time. But then it eventually ends in her committing suicide because she failed. Which is kind of dark, but I noticed this when I was watching it, but Midoriya, his disguise costume is the same outfit that Katsuma wears in the Heroes Rising movie. I noticed that as soon as I saw the overalls and the hat, I was like, oh, that's a cool little nod. It was just cool seeing when Midoriya was framed for murder, just everyone from his class and all the other heroes, even the pro heroes like Endeavor and everything, they were like this is crap. This isn't Midoriya wouldn't do such a thing. This is BS. And it's just yeah. It's even Bakugo was like, what the hell is this? This isn't Midoriya. shows like how much of an impact Midoriya has had on everyone, like even pros. Eventually, we finally make our way to the final battle. Now I'm kind of jumping around a bit. The whole premise of the thing is that Humanrise is going to set off these trigger bombs. It is the drug from season 4 where like it boosts your quirk ridiculously and you become OP as crap. It's kind of like a lethal version of that where it like takes your quirk and then just like completely destroys you, which is like this brutal sequence that happens like in the first scene of the movie where they release the bomb and like a bunch of people just die. And pretty much like Rhodey has the key to be able to shut down all the bombs, you know, Mission Impossible type stuff. They have to get to the bomb, there's a countdown, and they have to fight their way through it. But of course, the big three, Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki, each have their own respective fights. Bakugo has the first battle against the Serpenters, these two characters who pretty much can shoot. It's kind of like Nine's dragon ability that he had in Heroes Rising, but it's just like their arms and stuff. But Todoroki fights against Leviathan. This, of course, just like the previous movie, is fighting a giant monster thing. And then Midoriya, of course, has the final big climactic battle against Flecked Turn, who revealed to actually have a quirk of his own, which is kind of hypocritical, but his motive behind it actually is kind of cool and it makes sense. It goes back to the whole quirk doomsday theory that they started talking about in season 4, that throughout the different generations, quirks will mix together and become stronger, and then they won't be able to be controlled anymore. Flecked Turn being an example of that, because his quirk is Reflect, which his name makes a lot more sense after hearing that, which pretty much is any attack or just anything that you try to throw at him will be rebounded at you at like double strength. So while Midoriya fights Flecked Turn, Rhodey, who got injured by a laser turret, has to pretty much crawl his way through motivation that he got from Midoriya and just everything. Also revealing what Rhodey's quirk is, which is having to do with his little bird pal Pino. This little pal that shows no matter what Rhodey tries to lie or do anything, the bird shows what he's truly feeling. So when it looks like that Rhodey is gonna give the deactivation key to Flecked Turn, the bird gives Midoriya a thumbs up. And then going back to Bakugo's fight, just all three of these fights were absolutely incredible. Like, it really just goes to show that these three are going to be, like, I know the whole thing is that Midoriya is going to be the world's greatest hero. This movie definitely shows us that Bakugo and Todoroki are also going to be definitely some of the world's greatest heroes. Like, Bakugo's fight really instilled like a feeling of fear. It's like Bakugo wasn't just fighting to defeat these serpent guys. He was fighting for his life. Like, to the point where he just used everything he had. He started having like blood running down his eyes. He looked insane, which is perfect for his character. And he fires his gauntlets at them, kind of like rocket launchers, which that's awesome. And then he uses arguably his most powerful howitzer impact to finally destroy these guys. And then he does his own little All Might pose, but of his own, where he kind of like does a thumbs down. It's awesome. It's like, that is the most battered I've ever seen Bakugo, aside from maybe the previous movie. But and then Todoroki's fight, I mean, I'd say it's not the most, it's definitely the least epic. I mean, it's still really awesome, but it's just compared to Bakugo and Midoriya's fights, it was still really good. Like, Todoroki got to show off his new move, Flash Fire Fist Jet Kindling, which is interesting to see that move in this movie, because I'm not going to spoil much for next season or the manga, but we're going to probably see that move next season in action. But then, of course, we get to the fight that solidified this movie as absolutely just a cinematic wonder. Midoriya versus Flecked Turn. Of course, Midoriya is having to fight against someone who could use his own smashes against him, but despite all that, Midoriya pushes through to the bitter end. He keeps going and going. He says plus ultra, his gauntlets are destroyed, he's getting battered, but he keeps going. Till eventually he hears some guiding words from All Might in his head. You know, you hear in the classic, a real hero will always find a way for justice to be served. And then Midoriya does what I was waiting for him to do the whole fight. And that is use 100% and do the classic, like what he did against Overhaul, like what he did against, spoiler for Heroes Rising, what he did against 9. I just love it when he goes 100% because it's like Super Saiyan, man. It's like Super Saiyan Blue. He goes nuts. And just the animation is absolutely phenomenal. Like, each 3 of these movies have had a final fight sequence in which it's like the animation blows you away. But this one, hands down, when he just goes absolutely ham on Fleck Turn, is just like it's pretty much what he did to Overhaul with, like, you know, he throws one punch, but then all those fists just appear. But it's like on a much bigger cinematic scale. It's like some Mob Psycho stuff. It's nuts. And I loved it. It was one of the few times where I've actually been in a theater where I couldn't stay in my seat. Like, I got up, I was wearing a hat, I threw my hat on the ground. Me and my friend were cheering. It's like, oh my God. I just genuinely couldn't contain my... Anime just does that to me, man. I can't contain my excitement. That pretty much is where the fight ends. Fleck Turn and everyone in Humor Eyes gets arrested. And then Midoriya, Bakugo, Todoroki, and everyone in the Endeavor Agency head on back to Japan. Also assuming that Otheon is modeled after San Francisco, since there's literally a Golden Gate Bridge. And then Midoriya gives a very heartfelt goodbye to Rhodey, which is kind of sad. Like, I was thinking about that just because in every one of these movies, there's a character, like a movie original character. Like in the first one, there was Melissa. In the second movie, it was Katsuma and Mahiro. And then this one's Rhodey, where it's just like, he always talks about just like, yeah, I can't wait to see you again. But it's like, you know, they're never getting seen ever again. But it was still a nice goodbye. Especially when Rhodey's trying to be all tough, but then, you know, Pino shows his actual emotions, so the Pino's like crying. But Rhodey's just like, yeah, stop hugging me, man. I'm not gonna miss you. And then that pretty much is the end of the movie. And also, going back to the fight, I love when they use Yusei Run, man. Season 2 was the last time they ever really used it in the show. Other than that, it's been variations of it, like, you know, Jet Set Run or Might You, which, Might You, I love that song. I listen to that so much. But anyway, but just hearing the classic Yusei Run when he goes 100% was just perfect. And I really hope in the next coming season we hear more of like the classic Yusei Run. So yeah, that's pretty much my review for My Hero Academia Movie 3, World Heroes Mission. I kind of thought this might be the final movie, but there's no way. I'm sure next year we're going to be getting another movie, which I'm perfectly fine with. I love these movies. Each one has gotten better and better. Although I'd still say, overall, I prefer Heroes Rising just because of just the pure action and just everything that movie was, what it stood for. I prefer that, but in terms of like a story, World Heroes Mission did a really good job, and I really do like this movie. I like all 3 of them in their own way, but this movie definitely solidified itself, and I'll definitely never forget it. So overall, I'd say World Heroes Mission, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I legitimately can't think of... I was going to say, like, the quote-unquote slow parts of the middle between Midoriya and Rhodey, but, like, it still was keeping my attention. Like, I still enjoyed it. Like, I loved the story that they were building between those two. Also, just the one-shot fights in this and just everything. But anyway, okay, yeah, we're done. I could gush about this movie forever. Yeah, World Heroes Mission, definitely go see it if it's still in the theaters. I'm really looking forward to when it's released on Blu-ray and I can watch it again here at home. I'd love to watch all 3 of those movies back to back. Like, obviously, they're not really connected. Although, there is a shot when Midoriya is fighting Fleck Turn in which he's remembering everyone who's had a big influence on him. And it shows a frame of Melissa. Which is like... out of all the movies, you're making 2 heroes canon? I don't know. That's fine. It's fine. It's cool. Until next time, whatever I'm reviewing, playing, or doing, I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.